buckle up for this one because
Oh.
we are diving deep into a project that aims to build a real-life Janna on Earth.
I am so excited about this one.
Oh, it is
Yeah.
fascinating, right?
It is.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this one for a while.
I know, me too.
Yeah.
The Paradise Earth Project. And the
Yeah.
plan is all laid out in this document we have.
Right.
And it is ambitious, to
Yeah.
say the least.
Yeah.
It combines cutting-edge technology with ecological harmony, and get this, all guided by principles from the Quran.
That's right. It's not just some far-off utopian dream. This is a concrete roadmap.
Okay.
And they're actually planning to start with a pilot community and then scale it up.
So, like, a proof of concept?
Yeah, exactly. A proof of concept.
Okay.
They are aiming to make it into a global network.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And we're talking about some really wild stuff here, like
AI-powered governance, a blockchain-based system to reward contributions to the community. It's really fascinating stuff.
blockchain for good deeds.
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much.
So how does this whole thing
You-
actually work?
I think at its core,
Yeah.
this project is really about integrating ethics into every single level of the
Okay.
project.
Okay.
And they even have a term for it.
Okay.
They call it fractal governance.
The fractal governance.
And they're taking inspiration from the Quranic concept of balance.
Okay.
So imagine like a system where ethical decision-making is built into literally everything,
Yeah.
from individual actions to how the whole community operates.
That's pretty ambitious, but
Yeah.
how do they plan to, I mean, that sounds very abstract.
Right. And that's where the tech comes in.
Okay.
They want to use something called higher order topological dynamics,
Higher order topological dynamics.
or HOTD,
HOTD, okay.
to basically translate Quranic narratives into a format that AI can understand.
Wait, so you're telling me they're taking these ancient stories and using them to inform modern AI?
That's exactly right.
How does that even work?
Well, it's all about extracting universal ethical principles.
Oh, okay.
Like justice, compassion, stewardship, things like that from these narratives,
Gotcha.
and using them to guide the development and the decision-making of artificial intelligence.
So it's almost like instead of just feeding this AI data,
Yeah.
you're actually trying to like instill it with values
Exactly.
from the very beginning.
It's like building a moral compass into the system itself.
Like building in a moral compass. Okay.
Yeah, and it gets even
That's,
more interesting
now you
because
have-
they
yeah.
look at the structure of the Arabic language itself.
Okay.
So Arabic uses a trilateral root system where words are built from these three-letter roots that carry core meanings.
Okay.
And they believe that these roots
Yeah.
can actually be used to encode ethical concepts within AI algorithms.
So they're not just using the stories.
Right.
They're like using the language itself
like
as
the structure of the
a
language.
building block.
Yeah. Like, for example, the root ADL
Okay.
represents justice, fairness, and balance.
Okay.
These are crucial concepts for
Right.
ethical AI development.
So it's like they're weaving ethics into the very fabric
Exactly.
of this technology.
It's a great way to put it.
But, let's be real for a sec.
Ah.
A lot of these sustainability projects
Mm-hmm.
focus on the high-tech
Yeah.
solutions,
Right.
but they forget about the people.
Right.
How does this project
Whoa.
address the human side of things?
They actually put a lot of thought into that.
Okay.
And they're proposing a system called Janna Economics,
Janna Economics.
which is built on a blockchain-based XP system.
Hold on. XP. Like in a video game.
Yeah, like in a video game.
That's how they're motivating people.
I know it sounds a little unconventional, but think about it.
Okay.
Games are engaging
Yeah.
because they offer that sense of progress and reward.
Right.
And they're applying that to real-world actions.
Oh.
So imagine
Okay.
earning points for planting trees or volunteering or even just helping a neighbor.
Okay, so these points would then have real value within the community.
Exactly. So these XPs would be connected to accessing
interesting.
resources within the community. Things like solar-powered kitchens,
Okay.
educational hubs. It's about creating a circular economy where contributions are linked to well-being.
Okay.
And to make sure it's all fair, they're using AI to dynamically adjust the XP system based on real-time data.
So actions that have a bigger impact on the community or the environment would earn more points.
Precisely. So the system is constantly adapting to incentivize the actions that are most beneficial for the well-being of everyone.
That's actually really clever.
It is.
It's like a built-in mechanism to make sure that the focus stays on what matters.
Exactly.
But what about the environment itself?
Yeah.
How do they actually plan to make this whole thing sustainable?
Well, they're taking a really interesting approach to infrastructure. They call it a bio-inspired approach.
Bio-inspired. Okay.
Yeah. So think water filtration systems that mimic the way mushrooms filter water. Or buildings designed for passive cooling that are inspired by termite mounds.
Wow.
It's about harnessing the wisdom of nature.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
They're really taking sustainability seriously.
They are.
But how do they keep track of all of this?
So
how do they plan to monitor the environment and manage resources effectively?
Well, they're going to use drones.
Drones.
Okay. Yeah, equipped with those Fifox sensors that we talked about before.
Right. So Fifox, we know that as a smartphone app.
Right. As a smartphone app.
For physics experiments.
Exactly. But here, those same sensors attached to drones are going to be collecting real-time environmental data.
Wow.
And then feeding all that data into AI algorithms to make decisions about resource management.
So it's like they have a constant stream of information about the environment's health.
Like a constant feedback loop.
That's really amazing.
It is.
But how do they plan to store all this information? I mean, we're talking about a lot of data here.
All right, so this is where it gets really wild.
Okay.
They're proposing to use DNA to store the project data.
DNA? Like our genetic code?
Are you serious?
You heard that right. DNA is incredibly dense, right? It can store an enormous amount of information in a tiny space.
Yeah.
Plus, it's incredibly durable. The stuff can last for thousands of years, potentially. So imagine all of the project data, ecological metrics, community contributions, encoded within strands of DNA. It's sustainable, efficient, and practically future-proof.
Okay, DNA data storage. That's something I'm going to have to wrap my head around.
It's mind-blowing for sure.
But before we dive into that,
yeah,
let's just take a step back and make sure we understand the bigger picture here.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
Let's do a little recap.
Right, so we've got this incredible vision using cutting-edge technology like AI and blockchain, but also incorporating these ethical principles from the Quran to build a truly sustainable community.
Yeah.
It's a lot to take in.
It is.
But how do they actually plan to make it happen? We've only just scratched the surface here.
Yeah, well, they're not just jumping in head first.
Okay.
They've laid out this very detailed roadmap for how to get this project off the ground.
Okay.
And that first year is all about testing these core concepts in a real-world setting. They're calling this their minimum viable product phase, or MVP.
So they're starting small
to
make sure everything works before they go big.
Yeah, a proof of concept.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Start with a microcosm and learn from that experience.
Exactly.
But what will they actually be testing during this initial phase?
They've highlighted 3 main areas.
Okay.
The JANA economic system with its blockchain-based XP. The Fifox sensor network for environmental monitoring.
Gotcha.
And the AI-driven governance model.
Okay, so let's break those down one by one.
Okay.
Starting with JANA economics.
Right.
How will they actually implement this XP system in a real community?
Well, they're planning to use a blockchain ledger.
Okay.
Possibly like a layer 2 solution built on Ethereum to make it energy efficient.
Gotcha.
And keep those transaction costs low.
Okay.
Think of it like a digital record-keeping system that tracks everyone's contributions. And then they're going to use smart contracts, which are basically self-executing agreements written into code that would automatically reward people with XP for their actions.
So if someone plants a tree or
Exactly.
participates in a community cleanup,
Yeah.
they automatically get XP.
Yeah, they get XP added to their account.
Okay.
It's all tracked on the blockchain.
And they're also going to test out a mobile app.
Yes, exactly.
So people can track their XP,
Yes.
log their contribution,
Yeah.
and even use their points to access those resources.
So the XP basically becomes like a community currency.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting concept.
It is a fascinating concept.
But what's to stop someone from
Right.
gaming the system?
That's a great question.
And that's
How do they ensure fairness?
where the AI comes in.
Okay.
They're using AI to analyze all of the data
Okay.
and dynamically adjust that XP system.
So actions that have like a greater positive impact would earn more XP.
Exactly. The value of actions can change
Oh, wow.
based on the needs of the community
Wow.
and even the current environmental conditions.
So it's a self-adjusting system.
Yeah, it's designed to incentivize those really beneficial contributions.
That makes a lot of sense.
It does.
It ensures that the focus stays on what truly matters.
Right.
Now let's move on to the Fifox sensor network.
Okay.
How are they actually going to use that for environmental monitoring?
Well, think of it as giving the community a toolkit to understand their environment better. So they equip people with smartphones,
Okay.
load them up with that Fifox app,
Yeah.
and it turns their phone into a mobile sensor.
Oh, wow.
It can collect all sorts of environmental data.
Like what kind of data?
Oh, we're talking about everything from air and water quality
Okay.
to soil health, even microclimate variations.
Okay.
They want to measure things like CO2 levels,
Yeah.
humidity, temperature, pH, salinity, even the presence of bacteria in water sources.
Wow. So they're
We're
really
very comprehensive.
painting a full picture
Yeah.
of the environment.
Yeah, and having that real-time data
Yeah.
is going to be crucial for making decisions about resource management and identifying potential issues early on.
It's like giving the community a real-time snapshot
Yeah.
of their environment.
Yeah,
But I'm guessing all of this data is useless
right.
without a way to process it
You're exactly right.
and make sense of it.
That's where the AI comes in again.
Okay.
They're planning to use a federated learning model to analyze all of that data.
Federated learning.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that one.
So imagine each smartphone acting like a mini brain,
Okay.
learning from the data that it collects.
Okay.
With federated learning, these mini brains share their insights
Okay.
without actually sharing the raw data itself.
Okay.
So everyone's privacy is maintained.
So it's like a distributed intelligence network.
Exactly.
With each phone contributing to this collective understanding.
It's like a hive
But
mind.
the environment.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really cool.
That is.
So during this MVP phase,
Yeah.
they're going to be testing how this AI can be used to
Right.
predict water needs for crops,
Exactly.
identify sources of pollution,
Yeah.
and even guide community members to areas
Yeah, where to focus their cleanup efforts.
where their efforts will be most impactful.
Exactly.
Wow, so the AI is not just crunching numbers,
So it's just passive.
it's actively assisting
Keep an active participant.
in making the community sustainable.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
They're pretty cool.
Okay, we talked about the XP system and the sensor network,
Right.
but what about the third piece of the puzzle? The AI-driven governance model.
Yeah.
What will that actually look like in practice?
Well, this is where that fractal governance concept that we talked about earlier comes in.
Right.
Remember, the goal is to integrate that ethical decision-making at every level of the community.
Yeah.
And they're planning to use AI to help facilitate that.
So the AI would be involved in
It would be involved in
making decisions
Yeah.
that affect the whole community.
In a way, yes, but it's not about letting the AI run the show. It's
Okay.
more about using AI as a tool to support human decision-making.
Gotcha.
They're planning to use AI to analyze data,
Yeah.
identify patterns,
Okay.
and generate recommendations.
Okay.
But ultimately, the final decisions would be made by humans,
Okay.
possibly through, a system of community voting.
So the AI is like a superpowered advisor,
That's a great way to put it.
providing insights that wouldn't be possible for humans to process on their own.
Right, exactly.
But how can they be sure the AI is making recommendations
Right.
that align with their ethical framework?
That's the big question.
Will there be a risk of bias
Yeah, there's
or
always...
unintended consequences?
Of course, yeah, and they're aware of those risks.
Gotcha.
And they put a lot of thought into how to mitigate them.
Okay.
Remember that structured reality code?
Yes.
They talked about using that to train the AI.
Yeah.
It's all about ensuring that the AI learns from examples
Right.
that reflect those core values.
So they're trying to, like,
Yeah.
instill those ethical principles
Exactly.
into the AI's very programming.
Exactly, like baking it in from the start.
Okay.
And they're also planning to establish review boards
Okay.
to monitor the AI's development to ensure that its recommendations are
Yeah.
always aligned with their ethical guidelines.
So it sounds like they're taking a multi-layered approach
Absolutely. A very comprehensive approach.
to responsible AI development.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this MVP phase
Yeah.
is all about testing and learning.
It is.
What happens after that?
So that brings us to phase 2,
Okay.
which they plan to roll out over years 2 and 3.
Okay.
And the goal is to expand the project
Okay.
to multiple villages and start connecting them into a network.
So it's like creating a constellation of mini Paradise Earths.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay.
And here's where things get even more interesting.
Right.
They're planning to use AI to optimize resource flow
Okay.
between these interconnected communities.
So the AI is not just managing resources
Right.
within a single village,
Exactly.
but it's also helping these different communities collaborate
Exactly.
and support each other.
It's creating a system of interdependence
Yeah.
where the success of one community contributes to the well-being of the entire network.
And how does that JANA economic system evolve during this phase?
Well, they want to expand the scope of the XP system
Okay.
to include access to a wider range of resources.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine being able to use your XP to access things like 3D printed housing
Well,
made from sustainable materials,
okay.
or enrolling in online courses at a solar-powered education center.
Wow. Just really,
They even want to experiment with using XP to fund scholarships
that's amazing.
for budding eco-entrepreneurs.
It's like they're building a whole new economy
It is.
based on sustainability
Yeah.
and community contribution.
Exactly.
That's really exciting.
It is.
But how do they plan to measure the impact of all this?
That's a great question.
How will they know if it's actually working?
They're committed to using data to track their progress
Okay.
and measure the project's impact.
Okay.
They want to look at things like reductions in CO2 emissions,
Mm-hmm.
improvements in water quality, increases in local biodiversity, and even like the economic growth of the participating communities.
So they're not just relying on anecdotal evidence.
No, they're quantifying the impact.
They're actually quantifying it.
Yeah.
That's really impressive.
Yeah. And they believe that having this data is crucial
Yeah.
for gaining wider acceptance and attracting more communities to join.
So it's a way to like
It's like
demonstrate that it works.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the pilot phase, the expansion to multiple villages.
Yeah.
What's the ultimate vision?
Right.
Where do they see this project going in the long run?
Well, that leads us to phase 3,
Okay.
which is a long-term goal.
Okay.
It starts around year 5 and
Okay.
continues indefinitely.
Wow.
And this is where they envision creating this global network of interconnected eco-communities.
Okay.
They're calling it the JANA grid.
A global JANA grid.
Yeah.
That sounds incredibly ambitious.
It is ambitious, but they believe it's achievable.
Wow.
They're talking about creating a global UMA XP network
Okay.
that would use blockchain technology
Okay.
to facilitate the transparent and efficient distribution of resources across borders.
Wow.
So imagine a system where people from all over the world
Yeah.
can contribute to this shared pool of resources
All right.
and earn XP for their actions no matter
Yes.
where they are.
It's like taking the concept of a global village to a whole new level.
Exactly.
And to preserve the project's knowledge and
Yep.
ensure its long-term survival,
This is a big one.
they're proposing something truly remarkable.
Yeah.
Storing all the project's essential information,
Right.
from AI models to the XP ledger to their ethical guidelines within synthetic DNA.
That's right. DNA storage again.
DNA storage again,
But this time on a global scale.
but this time on a global scale.
Yeah.
How is that even possible?
DNA is incredibly dense and durable, right?
Right.
It can store vast amounts of information in a very small space.
Yeah.
And it has the potential to last for thousands of years.
Yeah.
So they envision encoding all of the project's crucial data
Mhm.
into strands of synthetic DNA,
Okay.
creating this sort of backup system.
It's like a time capsule for future generations.
Exactly.
Legacy of sustainability
Yeah.
and ethical living.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And ultimately, their goal is to create a self-evolving system,
Right.
a decentralized,
Moronic ghost.
chronic-governed eco-civilization
Yeah.
that can regenerate itself
Yeah.
and thrive for generations to come.
That's the big vision.
Okay, I have to admit, This project is blowing my mind.
It's a big one.
It's bold, it's ambitious,
Yeah,
it's full of groundbreaking ideas.
absolutely.
But let's be realistic here.
Okay.
What are the chances of something this complex actually succeeding?
Well, they're certainly not naive about the challenges ahead.
Okay.
They acknowledge that maintaining that ethical AI alignment, navigating all the technical complexities,
Yeah.
ensuring community buy-in,
Mm-hmm.
and overcoming potential political and economic resistance.
Right, that's huge.
It's going to be a hurdle.
Those are all very real concerns.
They are.
What steps are they taking to address those challenges?
Well, their approach really focuses on transparency,
okay.
community engagement, and ongoing monitoring and evaluation.
Okay.
So they plan to establish those review boards to
Okay, yeah.
oversee the AI development,
Yeah.
conduct regular audits of the XP system to ensure fairness
Right.
and foster open source collaboration, to tap into that global expertise
Yeah.
and build resilience into the system.
It sounds like they're aware of the potential pitfalls.
They are.
And they're actively working to mitigate
They're
them.
trying to be proactive.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
You have.
From the initial pilot phase
Yeah.
to this global JANA grid.
It's just a big vision.
It's a lot to process.
It is.
Let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned
Okay.
before we wrap things up.
Sounds good to me.
So we've been through like a whirlwind of ideas
Yeah.
with this Paradise Earth project.
Yeah.
From using AI to manage resources
Yeah.
to encoding data in DNA,
Mm-hmm.
it's clear that they're thinking big.
They are thinking big.
What stands out to you as like
Yeah.
the most groundbreaking aspect?
You know, what really strikes me is their holistic approach.
Okay.
It's not just about tech or ecology. It's about like weaving ethics and community engagement
Yeah.
into the very fabric of a sustainable future.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It is a pretty unique blend
Yeah.
of ancient wisdom and futuristic technology.
It is. It is.
But let's talk about the elephant in the room for a sec.
Okay.
Can a project rooted in Quranic principles
Right.
really work on a global scale
Right.
in a world of such diverse cultures and beliefs?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
But they do acknowledge the challenges of cultural diversity.
Okay.
And their hope is that by making the project open source,
Yeah.
others can adapt it to their own context.
There's more about like providing a framework
Yeah, like a blueprint.
for sustainable living
Yeah,
than imposing a rigid system.
exactly. They see it as a starting point,
Okay.
a spark to ignite a global conversation about how we build a better future together.
That's a big goal.
It is a big goal.
It's a bold idea, creating a global network
It is.
of interconnected communities,
It is.
all working towards this shared vision
Yeah.
of sustainability and ethical living. But realistically, how much impact can a project like this actually have?
Well, they're not naive to the challenges. They know
Yeah.
that they'll need to navigate political complexities,
Of course.
build trust across different cultural divides,
Yeah.
and ensure equitable access to resources and technology.
Right. And let's not forget the potential resistance
Oh, of course.
from existing power structures.
Yeah, disrupting the status quo is never easy.
Yeah.
But even if they face some roadblocks,
Yeah.
the fact that they're tackling these issues head on is really commendable.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
So what's the takeaway for our listeners today?
Mhm.
What should they be pondering after this deep dive?
I think this project, regardless of whether it fully succeeds or not,
Yeah.
really highlights a crucial point.
Okay.
We have the power to choose a different future.
Okay.
It challenges us to think critically about how we use technology,
Yeah.
how we organize our societies,
Mm.
and how we relate to the environment.
It's a reminder that building a better world
Yeah.
isn't just about finding technological solutions.
It's not just about the tech.
It's about rethinking our values.
Exactly. Our values and
Our
priorities.
We can choose to perpetuate the systems
Right.
that have led to inequality
Yeah.
and environmental degradation, or we can choose to build something new.
We have the power to choose.
And this Paradise Earth project
Yeah.
offers a glimpse
It does.
of what that something new might look like.
It's a way of doing things.
It's an invitation to imagine a world
Mhm.
where collaboration, compassion, and sustainability
Yeah.
are the guiding principles.
And who knows, maybe some of the ideas we've explored today
Yeah,
will inspire you to take action,
I hope so.
to join a local initiative, or even start something new in your own community.
That would be amazing.
It would be.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into
Yeah.
the Paradise Earth project.
Absolutely.
It's been a fascinating exploration of the potential for human ingenuity. It has been.
Ethical technology and community-driven change.
It's been a pleasure being here.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.